Hey there. Welcome to the Guy and Harley podcast. I'm Guy.
And I'm Harley.
So today we're going to be talking about life, love, and loss, and the pursuit of filmmaking glory, as we often do. And to kick things off, I thought we could start with some song lyrics, Harley, that really resonated with me.
Sounds great.
Okay, here we go. I've been chasing the dream, trying to make it come true. I've been working hard, but it ain't coming easy. I've been fighting through the highs and lows, the triumphs and failures, and I won't give up no matter how hard it gets.
Yeah, those lyrics really capture the struggle of pursuing a dream in the film industry. It's not an easy path, and there are so many ups and downs.
Definitely. I think one of the things that makes it so challenging is the constant search for balance. You know, on the one hand, you have your personal life and relationships, which can be really rewarding and fulfilling. But on the other hand, you have your career and the pursuit of success, which can be all-consuming.
Yeah, and it can be really hard to find that balance, especially in an industry like film where the hours are long and the competition is just fierce.
Well, I disagree. I think if you're really passionate about something, you have to be willing to make sacrifices and put in hard work. It's not about finding balance. It's about being single-minded in your pursuit of success.
Oh, that's where we differ. I think it's important to remember that while success is important, it's not the only thing that matters. It's okay to take a step back and prioritize your relationships and your own happiness.
Look, I understand where you're coming from, but I think you're underestimating the importance of hard work and dedication. You know, you can't just expect success to come to you without putting in the effort.
I agree that hard work is important, but I don't think it's the only thing that matters. Look, there are so many other factors at play, and I think it's important to be mindful of them.
Well, I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree on this one.
Yeah, I think so. But that's the beauty of a good argument, is it helps us to see different perspectives and maybe even change our own viewpoints.
You're right. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us on the Guy and Harley podcast. We'll see you next time.
Ka kite! That was the Guy and Harley podcast as written by ChatGPT, sent in to us from 5150 listener Jezza Howson. So that's what ChatGPT thinks the Guy and Harley podcast is all about.
Brilliant.
Yeah. I like how you first say those. You say I go. It really captures the ups and downs. I say it can be really hard to find balance. And you say, I disagree. I think you're really passionate about something. You've got to be single-minded in it. And then there was a bit where basically you disagree with what I'm sure is what you said.
I think I say at the beginning that there's Yeah, I say that it's challenging for the constant search for balance. You have these things, but then on the other hand, you have the pursuit of success. And then I suddenly flip it to being like, it's all about the success.
Yeah.
So it's all about, forget all the personal relationships. You just have to be single-minded.
Classics. So it really does know the show. It really does know the show. So thanks for that, Jezza Howson. Sound off in the comments, everybody, if you're here. What's been going on, Guy?
Well, I mean, speaking of ChatGPT, I guess we should probably launch into that topic as it's been a hot topic at the moment.
Yeah.
A lot of people been enjoying ChatGPT, indulging in ChatGPT. ChatGPT, for those of you who don't know, is basically a, AI writing software. So you ask it questions or you give it command prompts, and then it will write something for you. Mm-hmm. And what people are saying is like, damn, the schools are going to be in disarray after this, right? Because you can go, write me an essay in a slightly humorous tone on, Shakespeare's Macbeth.
Yeah.
And it will do it.
Yeah.
And you could even, if you like, because it does have some limitations. I think it does. I can't remember how much it does, like 800 words or something. It's not heaps. Like you can't go, write me a 40,000 page book. But actually you go just write page 2 or page 3 or page 4 of my essay on this, following on from where you left off.
Yeah.
Wrap it up on page 10.
Yeah.
There's your 10-page essay.
Yeah.
So it's, or your 40,000, word book, and you're like, cool, let's just go by chapters. We'll break it all up, ChatGPT. You could just sit with it.
Yeah.
And but you'd have to keep prompting it.
Yeah.
But that's obviously a lot easier than writing anything.
I did hear that they have technology out there to be able to recognize AI versus human written content.
Google allegedly can do that now.
So that means that the teachers might be able to be like, all right, look, this was clearly generated by an AI and we can prove it.
Well, essentially what's going to have to happen, which is kind of crazy, is they're going to have to run an AI generator on the essays and go, cool, tell me if this is AI. And then they use their AI to read if it or not it is AI, and then go, oh, no, that's Simon's work.
Yeah.
That's definitely not AI generated.
Yeah, that's Sam Wheeler's work. That's definitely not AI generated.
Although, the funny thing is apparently there's another AI which essentially allows you to then take that ChatGPT and modify it to hide those signals to Google.
Yeah.
Like sort of conceal it in a more casual, less predictive tone.
Yeah.
That, allows you to do that.
Plus, obviously, you're going to go through and correct a bunch of things and reword things in your own way anyway.
Well,
it would be a great way.
Not if you're a 16-year-old.
Well, maybe
Harley
not if you're
Neville.
16, you haven't even read it. You just go, print, send, didn't even read it. Just assume that the AI will look after me. Maybe. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I got it to write like a business plan for Pigville Productions, a small production company in Auckland. It was pretty good. It was like pretty in-depth and sort of had reasonably clear steps. It was quite nice. I was thinking this is going to be useful for funding applications. What should be write me a funding application for this movie called this, which is about this and that.
Yep, that's right.
Lean into the psychological thriller side of things, and then it just does it, and then you go, cool, sweet, that actually is way better than what I was going to write anyway, and I'll just tweak it a little.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think it would be particularly useful for like log lines.
Yeah,
because you're like, write a log line, like this is the synopsis, write a log line for it. In a captivating Hollywood style. Yeah. And then it will just do it.
Yeah.
Now, how good it will do it, that's the thing. So I've been using ChatGPT. First, obviously, I was just mucking about with it. I saw if it could write a YouTube video, which a lot of YouTubers are doing. They essentially did exactly what we did, where they do a thing and then they go, that was written by ChatGPT. So if you think the future's not here, it is. Yeah. Could you tell the difference?
Yeah.
And so
we might have got away with that if we had actually learnt our lines. Like if we had learnt
it would have been more. It would have been better.
Delivered it to an unsuspecting audience, and then revealed at the end.
I really appreciate the original lyrics that it made up for us, though.
They're pretty good, and I like that it made you sing.
So I've been using it to write some like proposals, like write a proposal on this idea or this idea, and see what it's come up with. To be honest, you do start seeing patterns. Yeah. You do start seeing patterns of the way it words certain things, the way it says certain things. And, if I were to read those proposals, it all depends what it's for. If you were just sending it off as an email to be like, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of this idea, producer? And you sent them that, I reckon that'd be okay. But if you are kind of like really pitching your heart out, and trying to give it your all, you would say these are not amazing proposals. They need a bit of rewriting. But I guess what's interesting is like, I'm a writer looking at it from a writer's perspective. There are a lot of people who are not writers, and there are a lot of people who hate writing, including writers. But there are also just a lot of people that's not like good. They never got really good at that. That was never a skill that they acquired easily, and every word is a struggle. And for them, there's just no way that getting that ChatGPT to not write something, because that's going to be better than like if you've got like a sort of a low level of English, if you've got a low sort of base education, if you are not very good at wording things, then ChatGPT is going to do a better job than you. And so it is kind of interesting to see exactly how that's all going to play out. But I think really the most interesting thing is how much are they going to start charging for it? Because ChatGPT currently is free. And actually a lot of these AI things are free because essentially what they want, they want more data input in.
Get that data flywheel going.
Exactly. So their AI can learn more and get better.
Yeah.
And so they haven't put it behind a paywall yet. But like ChatGPT, like I tried to log on a bunch of times and their servers were overwhelmed.
Yeah, I got kicked off once.
Yeah, which means that, you know, hundreds
Right when
and
it was
thousands.
writing me an erotic story.
Hundreds of thousands, if not millions. You got kicked off mid-erotic story.
Yeah.
You're like, what's page 3? I'm almost there. It only gave me 800 words. I'm not quite there yet.
Pick up where you left off.
And so, you know, it'll be interesting to see when they do put it behind a paywall, how much they charge for it. Because I could see very quickly how quickly we could get accustomed to using it. Mm-hmm. Even if it's just to, because I do think sometimes it's like
so much easier.
Just staring at the blank page, that's the hard part. Once you have a series of paragraphs to modify and refine, it becomes so much easier, but it's just typing those original words. That's that daunting bit that you just get stuck on. And so that's where this will come really handy. So it's like, okay, cool. I would already say that this is a very helpful tool for me. And I haven't really used it. I've used it a fraction of time, right? And I'd say, and I imagine if I got better at asking it better prompts, it'll give me better answers and better writing, right? So then it's like, okay, now I find this tool to be like, you know, for example, something that we use all the time, like the internet, you know, or email or something that is just like, it gets sort of ingrained in my workflow. Now, then you take that out of the workflow and you're like, fuck,
I gotta pay for that
this
now.
has fucked me up. So then it's like, okay, so how much will you pay for ChatGPT and how much will they charge? Is it going to be, I'm sure it's going to be a subscription fee, and it's really what price they set, because I think that some people, like if this is the level I've got into where I'm already like, really be tough to, you know, stop using this now. How many people are way further along in that chain, right? And of integrating it into their workflow, and then how much would they pay? And the answer is maybe like really heaps.
Well, we'll see, but you might be right. Although it could go the other way where it just becomes a free thing on the internet. But I guess it depends if that company really has a really big data advantage over the people who would kind of, you know, mimic it, which I assume they do. It's what they're currently gathering.
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. Obviously, you know, lots of people not happy about all this. And
you can't fight the future, though. It's like those people that go, I don't use the self-checkout at the supermarket because I don't work there. It's like, yeah, listen, dickhead, you can't fight the future. We're always going to do the more convenient thing. You can just embrace it or, you know, become redundant.
Or wait an extra 10 minutes in the queue.
Or wait an extra 10 minutes in the queue for no reason. Become redundant and wait an extra 10 minutes in the queue for no reason.
We should mention your painting that is just behind us that you've depicted. It's a bit shiny today. We can't see it as well as we sometimes can.
But it does depict two ships in a stormy waters, and that is actually, I painted that when I was thinking about my days working on the cruise ship, you see.
Right. And
it's about my cruise ship's adventures.
I see, and I actually heard that you named this one. So the last one you named Girl with a Pearl Necklace.
Yeah.
Right? And this one I heard you named it was, you told me that it was called Any Port in a Storm.
So that's the one, Any Port in a Storm. That's what this one's known as, Any Port in a Storm.
So there we go.
Yeah.
Girl with a Pearl Necklace and Any Port in a Storm.
Be interesting to see what happens next week. Got a couple of shout outs here. Got a little bit of feedback from Jeff Schmidt. He commented saying, last night I finally watched Older on Amazon. It was really, really good. I was blown away by the acting. I was blown away by Guy. I'm not sure what I was expecting, but he absolutely killed it. The casting was excellent and the production value was high. Excellent job.
Who was that from?
Jeff Schmidt.
Jeff, Thank you very much, my friend. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to do that, and thank you for the kind words. That makes me happy to know that you watched it and enjoyed it.
He then also went on to rate it and review it on IMDb and Amazon.
And that's absolutely key. And if you haven't done that and you're one of the listeners, and there'll be some of you out there, let's be real.
That would really help us.
Some of you out there that have still, despite knowing all we've been through to get it to the screen, have not just jumped on there, given it a rating and review on IMDb.
IMDb, you can give a rating and review on IMDb with just a Facebook account and a few clicks. You just go to IMDb, you click login, it goes join with Facebook, you allow it, and then next thing you know, you've got an account, and you can go and find Older and I Survived a Zombie Holocaust and Emmy the Vegan and give them all nice reviews.
Now, speaking of feedback and Older, I got a message from one Akash Sherman. And Akash said to me, just bought Older, really loved it. I just watched it on Tubi here in Canada, and then I used a VPN to purchase the Vimeo. And I said, that's fantastic, dude, blah, 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 thank you so much. And then he sort of was like, yeah, you know, my feature film. And I was like, excuse me? Because, you know, most people that reach out to us are not fellow filmmakers, generally speaking, in terms of telling us how much they like the film. In fact, fellow filmmakers generally will look at you with a disdain and a nose turned up nature, as is common in New Zealand with what's called tall poppy syndrome, where we look down and shit on other people who try to do things that may be either in competition or what you want to do but won't do. And so generally our feedback is actually from just audience randos, right? But not people necessarily in the industry, except of course when we went and collected the prestigious Septimius Award recently in Amsterdam. But you know, anyway, he was like, and I was like, cool, man. You know, I saw another indie filmmaker like myself. You know, well, not quite. The name of his film was called Clara. It is available on Netflix. It debuted at the TIFF, Toronto International Film Festival, which is one of the biggest and best festivals in the world. And I have not watched it yet because it's currently only available. It's not available on Netflix over here. But a VPN will sort me out, so I am planning to watch that. And then we had just a sort of a little chat, and I sort of asked, because that came out in 2018, I said, what have you been doing since then? And he goes, I've sold 4 scripts, but none of them have been produced. So I just thought that was interesting from a fellow peer from across the world in Canada. Shouting out Older. So he liked it, and obviously he could identify with the struggle of being a disillusioned filmmaker.
Should have sent him the link for the Guy and Harley podcast. Maybe
I probably should have.
Fan.
Well, we were sort of chatting, and then, you know, we were chatting. Then I hit him with a big response, and then he replied me.
Yep.
You know, and so it's like, because where I ask a question, you know, so I was like, well, I'm just not going to harass him. He's a busy man. He's making Netflix movies.
Well, from praise for your acting, to praise for my acting.
Oh, I thought you were going to say not praise for your acting. But go on.
I got a call from Tyler, the website creator. 9:15 in the morning, woke me up.
Crack of dawn.
He called to say how much he enjoyed my performance in the latest Savage Filmmaker skit, in which I played an obnoxious bug, an obnoxious Adobe bug.
Premiere bug.
Yeah.
Well, it was a great performance, no doubt about it. Hilarious. Yeah, very funny. I also got a message from someone else, you know, on Instagram, and this one actually messaged me originally when Older came out, and he was like, "Yeah, hey, I really liked it, blah blah blah," and then he sent me a photo of myself, you know, at the Septimius Awards, and he goes, "Guy from Older's changed a lot," and I was like, "Yeah, well, I started filming Older in 2013. This year marks a decade since I began." And he was like, "Long hair not working out for you."
Yeah.
And I was like, haha, I still have long hair. And he said, really? That's not nice.
Yeah.
And then he sort of went on to ask me about being married or whether or not I was married.
Yeah.
And
I think he might have a crush on you.
and I was like, no, I'm not married. He's like, I don't think I'm ever going to get married. He's 24.
Right.
And I was like, well, you know, give yourself another 15 years. Let me know how you feel when you're my age. And then he asked me another series of more personal questions. And I was like, okay. Anyway, then, you know, he asked me whether I was working on any new things and sort of chatted about that. And I sent him to the YouTube Savage Filmmaker channel. And then at the end, he said, I'm good at acting, just saying. I said, I'll keep that in mind. Smiley face, crying emoji. He said, can't cast you because you are not good looking. I said, my girlfriend thinks differently.
Yeah.
He said, well, that's only your girlfriend. Whole universe thinks differently.
Okay.
And that's where we left that conversation.
So clearly a lunatic. Clearly a crazy fan.
Yeah.
With a crush on you who wants to also bring you down to their level as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which he successfully did.
I've been horribly depressed ever since.
This is the problem with fan interaction is you want fan interaction. You want people to send messages like what was his name?
Schmidt.
Jeff Schmidt. His name is just so generic that it's hard for me to remember. It's like Jeff, James, John, Jeff Schmidt. You want that because that's beautiful. That's an amazing thing. But you don't want to be like, you know, are you married now? What? You know, do you have a girlfriend? Yes. You know, like all of these things are starting to get into the too personal territory. And they're also getting into the, do you really want to have a conversation with every single person that messaged your territory? And this is why that I guess you see the sort of disconnect is like essentially what we're all aiming to do is get to the point of success. I don't want to say fame, the point of success where we are forced to completely ignore all our fans based off the fact that we cannot have these, you know, singular interactions with all of them or it would take up all our time. So we're all hoping to get to the point where we no longer have to talk to you.
Yeah. Well, the exception obviously is for the Sifty 150. You see my T-shirt here, the Sifty 150. You guys can still message us.
Well, that's the thing. You can that's the thing. You can message us, and in fact, you can have conversations with us because we're not at that level.
Yeah.
You might think differently.
No, I'm saying in the future when we're big stars, we'll still allow
we'll still
space
do the
for
fan mailbag
for the Sifty 150
and the Q&A, all that sort of thing. I think I do agree with that, but it's just interesting that it's like, yeah, you're trying to get to a point where you essentially can't have these overly personal conversations with people because you're just too busy.
Well, I just don't. I get a decent amount of these messages as well, and I will reply just whatever they say. So they'll go hello, and I'll go hello.
Really?
Yeah.
So if they just give me the hello, I give them the no reply.
Yeah.
If they ask me a question,
I either give them the no reply or the hello.
Yeah. If they ask a question, I'll reply to their question.
Me too, as long as it's a decent question. If it's like basically, I don't want to hear hello or hey. What I want to hear is hello. This is who I am. This is how I found you, and this is what I want. Can you help me or whatever?
Yeah.
In which case, I'm like, okay, cool. We can talk now. But otherwise, like, hello, how's the weather? How are you? Fuck, I don't know, mate. How am I?
Not good.
Not good.
Status?
You're trying to remind me.
Not good.
Trying to remind me that I'm not good.
Well, I just think it's also interesting because I think it presumes this idea that you are like, they're just a random person that's interested in you, that wants more info about you, right? And they're kind of assuming that you're open and receptive to be that to them. Whereas obviously you're actually your own person harassing other people higher up the chain,
further up the chain.
in much the same way that they are.
Yeah.
And trying to get responses out of them. You see? So it's a pyramid scheme. Fame is a pyramid scheme.
I recently, Oh, well, I don't know what you got for Christmas. I don't think we spoke about that. But for Christmas, I got an Apple Watch. And for the first time, I went to the gym with it on, thinking, cool, it's going to, it's going to fill up my exercise rings and tell me all of this stuff about me. And I went to the gym. I was out and about all day, walking around, running errands, doing things. I went to the gym and I went for a skateboard for nearly 2 hours, and it didn't close my exercise ring. It didn't close it, and it would normally close it much less than that, which sort of obviously irritated the shit out of me, because the whole reason I bought the watch was for it to, keep an eye on my health, and I can kind of figure out where I'm at and stuff.
But what is accurate is now accurate, measuring it accurately, and it's decided that you're definitely not doing enough.
It says my exercise routine is so weak that the Apple Watch doesn't even recognize it. It doesn't even recognize it.
Well, it's just not closing the rig. Built the rig up, surely.
No, I think what it was because I didn't officially record a workout that day. I just thought it would find it itself and do it all itself. And I guess skateboarding, it does involve, even though it's a lot of jumping around, it's a lot of gliding around as well. Yeah. So maybe it doesn't really know how to kind of, measure that. Although I did find a skateboarding option in the watch. So that was skateboarding workout option.
Well, it also, we did talk about how fat we were in the previous episode. So a little update, I've turned my life around. Everything's changed. As of January the 2nd, I'm a healthy eater. My habits are different, apart from the pie and muffin that I had this morning, but let's not talk about that. And so far, all these new habits, religious gymming, watching what I eat, I've lost 3 kgs
in 10 days or so.
I guess about days. 2 weeks, really.
It's pretty good, right?
Yeah, it is good. Unfortunately, that was the 3 kgs I put on
over Christmas. Yeah.
And in fact, I think so. The next 3 kgs, we'll see how that goes. But also, it's really when we get to that 100 kg mark. That's, I think, when it's going to start to get difficult.
You're aiming to get under that hundy.
I definitely got to get under that hundy. Yeah. No doubt about it.
Yeah, well, I'm like 84-ish. 84 to anywhere from 83 to 85. 85 is the heaviest I've ever been. And for a man of my stature, my height, 85's a few too many. Yeah. You don't want to be a stumpy little block man. Yeah. Like if I'm already bald, I'm already short, I'm already extremely hairy, I cannot afford to be fat too.
It just can't be on the cards.
It's the one thing I have, still going for me. Yeah. That I'm not fat yet, but I'm increasingly, I can see the slippery slope that I'm on, and I can see where it leads. Yeah.
So, hopefully your Apple Watch will help with that. My new diet, full of pain and misery, is certainly helping me with that. Yeah. It's just a giving up of everything you like. That's all. It's not that hard. It's just giving up every single thing you enjoy.
Everything that brings you joy.
The beer that I'm looking at over there, can't have it.
This is actually, you probably wouldn't even like this one. This is a seltzer. So it's like, it's brewed like beer, but it's sort of see-through and it tastes like fruit, but it's alcohol.
Stone cold sober.
And because it's brewed like beer, they can sell it in supermarkets.
Well, this is what they need to do. And they've been working on it, but they just haven't done it yet, as far as I'm concerned. And if any listeners have some good recommendations, I'm all ears. Well, here's the actual problem. Alcohol is really bad for you. Yeah. Like, it's actually really bad for your metabolism and stuff. Like, just one beer. Yeah. One beer fucks up your whole day. Right. So it's not. So there's this idea that, like, what I'm going to talk about, which is low carb beers, which obviously is better for you, is, like, oh, just drink low carb beers. It's like, the problem is those beers are still doing damage. They're just not doing the same level of damage. They're not just working on 2 levels of damage, just 1 level of damage. But it's still very hard for your body to digest, and has a sort of a ripple effect that, sort of stifles things like muscle growth and stuff like that as well. So there's that. But the other thing is they just haven't got a good low carb beer. However, whatever it takes to take out the carbs.
Takes away the good flavor.
Really does.
Yeah.
And like, I keep trying these, I don't anymore because I'm off.
Now it's in the no beers.
But I was like, I'd always, when someone would offer me a low carb lager, I'd be like, yeah, absolutely. Let's give it a try. And every single time I'd be like, it's probably 30% as good as a real beer.
you got to maybe do a switch over to something like, vodka soda.
Well,
or, that type of
it's
thing.
just just straight alcohol. But obviously, it's the alcohol was the problem.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah. But yeah, you're right that like to having some like neat vodka.
Yeah. Well, soda water though. Like vodka with soda water or whiskey with soda water. Whiskey with soda water is not bad. It's not bad at all. My ex-flatmate came back to sell her mattress. So she's sold her mattress from my house now, and the new owner came round. So they bought this queen-sized mattress, right? Mm-hmm. It's $600 for this mattress. Okay, $600 mattress. They came and picked it up. All right, here we go. It's a queen-size mattress. Okay, it's a big mattress. It's a good mattress, $600. Okay. And then I asked them what they're doing with it. Well, I didn't actually ask them. They brought it up. And they were like, oh, yeah, so I'm going to put it in a van. And I was like, okay, cool, fair enough. I've lived in vans for 9 months. And then they were like, we're going to chop it in half and put it in the van. And I was like, excuse me? I was like, you're going to what now? Because I've lived in vans for a combined total of 9 months in multiple vehicles. So I do know a thing or two about mattresses and vans. Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I have so many questions. Like, why would you buy a queen-size mattress, cut it down to a double, and then, presumably re-upholster it or something, and then jam it in the van? Why not just buy a double mattress that will fit in the van in the first place? And it can be, not only is it smaller and doesn't need to be chopped in half, but it's cheaper, right?
Yep.
And you're just going to jam it in the van anyway. And then it's like, what do you think is going to happen when you cut that mattress in half? It's not a block of wood. It's going to completely lose its structural integrity. The guts is going to come out of it and stuff. Yeah. So, you'd have to re-upholster it.
It's like cutting a human being in half, basically.
Exactly. It's the same thing.
It's not gonna survive that.
It's better just to... no, that's not going to work. So it sounds very expensive and sort of labor intensive. And I was just like, what are you doing? Why would you spend $600 to cut a queen size mattress down to fit it into van size? Why not just buy a cheap van size mattress? People
are weird. People on Trade Me are weird.
People are weird.
I did offer to buy a lens off someone on Trade Me, and they're like, cool, meet me at the supermarket at X time. Mm-hmm. This was not on Trade Me, actually. This was on Facebook. And Facebook is the Wild West.
Facebook is the Wild West, yeah.
And I was like, no. Yeah. I'll come pick it up from your home.
Yeah.
This is my name. Here's all the details about me. Why would you not
want to meet at a supermarket? What's wrong with meeting at a supermarket?
Because I don't trust that. Like, because the thing is like, if I buy that at the supermarket, right, and I take it away, and then there's a problem with it,
you don't know where
there's just no way to there's no way to ever get back to that guy.
Yeah. That's the same if they post it to you as well, though, right?
I don't let anyone post anything off Facebook.
Right.
So Facebook, I meet them in person at their place.
Got it. Yeah.
Because specifically, there's nothing, like if he just disconnects from me, and then that lens doesn't work properly, I'm fucking screwed. Mm. And he did not want to meet him at his house.
Yeah, which is also fair enough, though. I'd be like, no, strange man, you cannot have my home address and come here.
Well, that's what I was like.
I feel much safer meeting you at the supermarket.
To me, that's weird because it's like, yes, if I'm just a total stranger, but if I go, hey, look, here's my website, see what I do, see, here's all about me, look at my IMDb.
Yeah.
Guy picked it on IMDb.
Yeah.
97th best director in Australasia, as you can see there.
Yeah. I am legit.
The proof's all there. Like, I get it if it's just a total random, but like if that's an industry professional, I'm like, okay, industry professionals don't fuck around because, and as I said, I was like, look, I'm the last person. I'm not going to do it. I just want to buy a fucking lens, man. I want to buy your lens off you. That's all I want to do. And I want to have some ability to come back to you if there's any issue. Mm-hmm. That's all. Anyway, I feel like he'd stolen that lens. And he was selling it.
Yeah.
Still for sale, that lens.
Right. Well, probably because he just constantly has it for sale and maybe has some other scam running as well where he like puts it up for sale and...
Well, you just don't know.
Repeatedly puts the same one up for sale.
It's all a bit random. Because that's the other thing is like some people go, I don't accept cash.
Yeah.
And then it's like, cool, well, if you don't accept cash and we're meeting at New World.
Yeah. Have you got a little portable FPOS machine, do you? Yeah.
We're going to have some problems.
Who doesn't accept cash anyway? That's weird. Cash is right. It's moderately annoying, but it's fine.
I think the issue is like you know, if the item is like $3,000,
Yeah.
if there were to ever be any type of counterfeit money, what are you going to do?
Right.
You know? So actually that's exactly what happened with me. And I met him at the BNZ, and then I put it into the BNZ to make sure that it wasn't counterfeit money.
And it wasn't?
No.
So you would put it in a deposit.
Yeah, so I just deposited it into the ATM right there,
Yeah.
and I was like, sweet, it's all good. There you go.
Cool. All right.
Facebook Marketplace tips.
Yeah. The best tip is not to buy things on Facebook Marketplace.
Well, that is the best tip, but actually the best deals are on Facebook Marketplace, because if you sell something on Facebook Marketplace, you don't have to pay them a fee like you do on Trade Me. So if you're willing to brave the Wild West, the biggest bargains tend to be on Facebook Marketplace.
Right, yeah. Risk and reward and all that.
Yeah.
All right, well, I am getting ready for work soon. Got to go put sound on the tally.
Yeah.
What do you got to say?
Oh, we wrapping things up.
Well, I'm all out of notes.
Okay, well, just a couple of things. One, I got a message from one Nick Sisladi.
Yep. The man.
Have we ever decided if the Z is silent?
It's Zaladi. It is Zaladi.
Or the S is silent?
Yeah, the S is silent. It's
Zaladi.
Zaladi. That's what I say. Shout out to Nick, long-time listener.
So he said, "Happy New Year, guy. I've been catching up on the podcast now that it's back online, and I have a counterpoint you could bring up when he next gets on about Tesla."
Okay. I knew that Nick would have something to say because Nick works with engines. Nick's an engineer.
Yeah.
And he's into that type of thing. So
yeah, so
I knew he'd have something to say about it. And I think I mentioned him in another episode that Nick would have something to say about it.
And he does raise a very good point. And this is one huge fatal flaw when you double down on Tesla.
Okay, what's that?
So the future of transportation is not fully electric. This is what Nick says.
Okay.
EVs and hybrids will have their place, especially as commuters, etc. But they will never replace combustion-based energy. It's simply not viable for things like air transport and sea transport, which are two of the biggest sources of pollution. The future for travel will be carbon-neutral synthetic fuel made from carbon scrubbed from the atmosphere, relinked into hydrocarbon chains using some form of green energy, say solar. It will allow us to continue using existing cars with internal combustion engines. The environmental cost of making a new EV versus a new ICE car is irrelevant if you can make your 97 Toyota Camry effectively carbon neutral. Also, the difference between an ICE car fire and an EV fire is the EV fire basically can't be put out, which is certainly one of the large criticisms against the Teslas. Exploding and catching on fire.
Not based on much that's actually happened, though. Like, as in, there's not these cars are not famous for exploding. Like, one of them just went down a 250-meter fall in America, like fell off a cliff. The driver wanted to kill his family. He was in a Model Y, I think, and he drove it off a 250-foot or meter cliff. With his two kids and his wife in it to kill them all and kill himself. And a lot of people die there in crashes when cars go down that cliff. You know, there's never survivors, they say. And the firefighters were saying that. But he made a crucial mistake, which was that he was in a Tesla. And
it was just luck.
It wasn't luck, man. It was huge. It was amazing engineering is what it was. Like, if you look into it. You can laugh if you want, but you better look into it first.
But
right?
Harley.
So the engineering is what saved those people. The incredible engineering is what saved those people.
But you could also say, and the way the car fell.
Yeah,
and at the certain angle that it went down the thing.
People, but that the
and there's all
Tesla
these other things.
The Tesla's
plus
technology
the Tesla wasn't a Prius, and that's which just folds into pieces like when nothing happens to it.
They're the safest cars in the world. They're like by whichever places that test these, they've got the highest safety ratings, right? And it's because of the engineering and the way that those cars are designed. And that's just, that's not my opinion. That's the facts. And so, yeah, those Teslas are safe. They don't really catch on fire. Sometimes they catch on fire, but not as much as ones that are filled with combustible liquid that we set on fire and make explosions in order to achieve this movement. The fire thing, I don't think it's really based on reality.
Okay, but that's not his main point.
Yeah.
The main point is that they're going to do this instead.
Right, yeah. So they're going to suck carbon out of the atmosphere, relink it into hydrocarbon chains, and then use that as an effectively carbon neutral energy source. Because even though you're burning it and releasing it back into the atmosphere, you're also taking it from the atmosphere in order to burn it. It seems plausible, but it also seems like quite a far-fetched way to do it and hold on to this redundant technology when you've got vehicles which are cheaper to run, safer, and cheaper to manufacture, and just cleaner. You don't need to suck it out of the atmosphere and do all of that process. Because you're cutting that bit of it out, and the technology's already there with the batteries and all that, and it's only getting cheaper. So it just doesn't seem to me like this to build up this whole other industry, this massive carbon sucking industry where you have to carbon mine from the atmosphere using, advanced futuristic technology that doesn't exist yet. And it's like, well, we got, these battery cars ready to go. And then as for planes and boats, they already have electric planes and electric boats. They just haven't expanded as much, they haven't reached, the technology hasn't reached that stage yet where we can have a big jumbo plane powered by a battery. But that's obviously the next step further down the line, once we kind of get land transport sorted. So eventually it's not going to make any sense to stay burning fossil fuels, even if you're sucking them out of the air.
Well, it might.
It might, but I don't think it doesn't make economic sense. I think it won't work because
it all depends which costs more, right? But it also depends not just on which costs more, but which you're doing already. So, for example, if they're doing this thing where they're sucking the carbon out the air because they need to do it anyway, because us all switching to battery cars is not going to help.
It's not going to take carbon out of the atmosphere.
Not fast, it's going to reduce it, but it's not going to be fast enough. Actually, we're desperately seeking an alternative right now that is not, and the solution is not Tesla. That might be one small part of a change in industry, but it's not. It's actually like a band-aid on a much bigger problem with the world. So when in the solution that we humans need to come up with might be in those things, and then it's like, it's actually really easy to pump this back into the thing and do that. Obviously it may not be, but and so the solution has been brought about and the cost has been mitigated by the necessity of doing those things anyway.
Yeah, maybe. Like, it's going to be a combination of things, for sure. There's going to be a combination of things, but we've already got this technology. It's called trees, right? You plug them, plug them into the ground, and they suck carbon out of the atmosphere for the entirety of their lives. And then you take those trees, chop them down, and you burn them. And technically, that's carbon neutral, right? Because it sucked all the carbon out of the atmosphere to create itself. Then you chop it down, and then you burn it, put it in a wood burner car. That is carbon neutral, but it's just not very. It's not a great effective way of doing it. A better way is you take the huge giant nuclear reactor in the sky, you take the tides and the winds, things that never change, and you take that energy and you store it into batteries, big batteries, which you then use those batteries to power everything in your life. You've just got a big battery pack at your house, and that energy comes from renewable sources and maybe nuclear as well. And then, there's always still going to be some, fossil fuel stuff. There's still going to be uses for fossil fuels, I'm sure. But, the swap will be that most of it will be these energy stored in batteries. And one of the good things about battery storage is that things like lithium and these other metals that are in the batteries, they're hard to get out of the ground and they're environmentally damaging to get out of the ground, just like oil. But the difference is you dig up oil, you burn it once, that releases it into the atmosphere. You dig up lithium, you put it into a battery, and then you recycle that battery because the lithium doesn't deteriorate or whatever, don't quote me on exactly which element it is, but like they don't deteriorate at the same in the same way. So you can recycle batteries again and again and again and again. And so eventually we're going to have all the lithium and stuff that we need out of the ground, and it's going to be in circulation in our millions of batteries around the world. And eventually it's going to become more profitable, more economical, rather than digging up more lithium from under the ground, to just concentrate on recycling the lithium from the various batteries that are dying in all of our devices, from phones and laptops and cars and everything else. And so once you kind of get to that stage where you've got it out of the ground, it's again much more environmentally friendly.
I also think that there's a big issue here of like the doubling down on Tesla is like, you're right that Tesla right now is ahead in the in this game, in this vehicle game. But it does take one, group of people doing it better, differently, less expensively, to change all that. So when you say that like Tesla's gonna, Tesla's a good investment for the future, it does that statement greatly depends on it staying ahead of A, competition, and B, like taxis were a great investment until Uber, so you are presuming in your statement about Tesla and about investing in the stocks that it's going to stay ahead of everyone else. There's going to be no new technology, whether it be this style of thing or something else, that doesn't supersede it in the next little while.
What do you mean, like supersedes battery technology? Or
Supersedes
just another company that is more advanced than Tesla, you mean?
Supersedes either whether it's battery technology, they work out a different way to do it.
Could happen.
Or whether it's, so whether it's some sort of, technological breakthrough in the making of it cheaper in a different way. Or even to be perfectly honest, even in the marketing of it. The thing about Tesla is it is a bit iPhone-ish in that it's like, we're going to give you this car, but it's like, I don't know if a regular family is going to want that type of car. And so obviously they're going to have to diversify into those areas if they truly want to become.
But they've got all areas, they've got an SUV, they've got, they don't have a cheap car yet, but they're working on it. They've got the Model 3, which is just like a normal sedan. And you've got like the luxury ones, which is maybe the X and the Y. So they do have different ones, and they are expanding. Now they're going to bring out the Cybertruck. Supposedly they're going to start their first deliveries this year of the Cybertruck, which is then moving into the four-wheel drive sort of area. And, like you say that, maybe people don't want those cars, but there seems to be a huge amount of demand still, and they are getting cheaper. And in fact, the reason why they can afford to get cheaper is because they have such a big it's industries of scale is what it is. They have so many cars. They're the biggest EV manufacturer in the world, that it drives down the cost of all of the individual parts, which increases their profit margins compared to other people. So I don't know if I think it was Rivian has released a truck, right, which is going to be what the Cybertruck will be competing with. And maybe it wasn't the truck, but whatever vehicle it was by Rivian, which is another EV startup, the one exactly the type of thing you're talking about, Guy, another company that might come along and eat their lunch. And they're losing $100,000 per vehicle that they sell. So they sell a vehicle, they lose $100,000. That's because they don't have the scale and all that type of thing, and the technology and the factories and the years ahead. Because basically that's the thing, is Tesla started years ago, and they started years before everybody else, and they've been getting that data flywheel going as well, right? With all their AI and their processing and the way that they're full self-driving and all of that type of thing. So this is all the years and years ahead and drawing away. And they've got the best pricing power in the market because they're not losing $100,000 per car. They're making $15,000 per car or something like that. And they're selling 1.3 million cars this year, and growing every single year. They've been growing like majorly. And so, like all of those things are like fair enough to bring up. You go, oh yeah, cool. But what about the competition? It's like, well, the competition is like they've been caught with their pants down and they're way behind basically. And they're still losing money on every vehicle. and they don't have the pricing power as we head into a recession where there's going to be less people wanting to buy cars, luxury cars in a recession, right? And so as the demand goes down, you need to be able to lower your prices to still sell your vehicles. And Tesla can lower their prices $15,000 per vehicle on the Model 3 or whatever, and still break even and still collect data and info and all that for their systems, and still kind of be winning and breaking even. So the other car companies are only making like 6% profit or something like that per car. So they can only go down like a little bit compared to Tesla. So they just don't have the pricing power that Tesla has. They've got a superior business model, better technology, and they don't have the anchor of like being trapped with these ICE vehicles and these old factories that are no longer making the appropriate technology. You wouldn't go to a watchmaker to get your iPhone fixed, and you wouldn't, to get your Apple Watch fixed, and vice versa. You wouldn't go to Apple to get your normal analog watch fixed, and it's like they're just different technologies. So if you have an ICE factory, that's not going to help you make EVs. And they've encumbered with all of this old technology, which is costing them millions of dollars, and they've got unions, they've got these old companies like Ford and all that have got, like strong unions and all these different people that are kind of slowing everything down. Tesla's just this sort of, lean shark just eating their lunch.
You're kind of talking about unions in a negative way, Harley.
Well, in terms of advancing technology and growing companies, like if you've got a union that's been there for 100 years, right, and they've got all these demands and you can't get anything done without getting the union's approval on it. Yeah, but if you just go to Tesla, right, and they pay you more and they give you a better job and they give you a good job anyway.
But that's the point of unions, right?
No. But that's the point, is that Tesla doesn't need them because they're treating everybody fine. They're coming out of engineering schools around the world. They've done surveys to see where do people want to work, and the two number one places that engineering students want to work is SpaceX and Tesla.
That's a very bad judgment of like whether or not they're actually treated well in the job.
That's not true, because if they're famous for being like a shit place to work, you're not going to want to work there. You want to work at the places that are using the best technology and giving you good and fair compensation and all that type of thing, which people at Tesla are. They are getting good pay. They are happy. And so it's like,
it's just Twitter that he treats people like shit.
But Twitter is a whole other thing. Like
yes,
Twitter,
it is.
Twitter,
it is a different business.
I'm talking about Tesla. You're talking about Elon Musk and Twitter, which is a social media account. I'm not talking about Elon Musk, or Twitter. We're talking about Tesla. And whether or not it's a good company to invest in. The Elon Musk thing and Twitter is very much a distraction. But
unions do protect employees. That's what they're there to do.
That's what they're there to do. But like everything, they get corrupted over time. And when you have, some unions are going to be fighting against things that, would fighting for things that would hold the company back, and
support its employees.
Yeah, but if you already support your employees and people want to work there, then you don't really need a union.
That is a very crazy blanket statement.
It's not though. It's not, because just look at it. Like here they are, the two places that people want to work the most: SpaceX and Tesla.
Yep.
Right. These are the places that graduates want to work at, not because they're shit places to work where they don't have protection of unions. It's because it's a good place to work. People want to work.
No, it's because of the perception of what they might be doing while they're there.
That too, exactly. It's both of them.
But it doesn't mean
so they got a good mission and good compensation and all that. It's like so. The unions, you're right, that's what they're designed for, but they don't always work. And especially if they get longer and longer and longer, their history gets longer and longer, and they get more set in their ways. So the point, though, is that regardless of all that, the point is that not having unions is going to be better for productivity. And so that makes the stock,
that makes the stock
a better investment as well. So it
That's true, said the evil man.
No, because I'm not saying you treat them like shit. I'm saying that go find out what people get at Tesla, man. They get heaps. It's not like everyone wants to work there. It's a highly sought after job, and it's like they get paid plenty. It's fine, they're doing fine, and so basically they're just not encumbered with these old organizations. And sure, maybe in the future, if Tesla starts treating its employees like crap, then they'll band together and get
and unionize
and do unions exactly. But they haven't, guy. But they haven't, mate.
But
it's
not.
The
But they haven't because
they don't need to.
No, that's bullshit.
Guy, they don't. They haven't
okay,
done
that's
it
not true because they haven't because they don't need to.
to.
That's bullshit. That's total bullshit. The reason that people don't unionize is that it's actually very hard to unionize if you are not, right? So to create that unionization requires almost everyone to be in agreement about what they will do and what jobs they will lose being theirs to unionize, right? That's why independent contractors often stay, like they go, yes, a union would be amazing. A union would mean that we all get treated better. However, we can't all collectively because this guy's going to say no and that guy's going to say no because they want to keep their spot where they are. And so, the idea that they haven't...
That's the same in all companies.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
All companies have, lots of companies have unions.
No, but because in a more collective time, when they came to the decision to unionize, things may have been very different. But
Exactly.
you cannot say that
they really
haven't
bad.
unionized because they don't want to unionize. That's that.
But why haven't they unionized then, guy?
Because of exactly what I said.
Okay, so then
not
why?
Because it's too hard.
Why did the Ford people unionize? It wasn't too hard for them. It was only too hard for the Tesla people.
No.
Why is it too hard for Tesla people,
too,
but not too hard for every other company that has a Ford has a
Because
union?
you got to get everyone on the same page.
Yeah, in every company, it's the same in every company. You've got to get everybody on the same page.
Not just because, so. Imagine having to get however many thousands of staff on the same page.
Yep.
That's more
That's what
difficult.
you do. That's how you make a union.
Yep.
That's what they do at all the companies, but they haven't done it at Tesla.
But just because they haven't done it at Tesla doesn't mean that not like, say, 70% would love a union.
Maybe.
And 70% would be like, yeah, that would make our lives a lot easier.
But not
it may
everybody
lead
has
to
to be in the
things
union.
that would be a lot more beneficial for us.
If you
However,
have
there is
70% that want a union, you can have a union. You don't need 100% in the union.
Okay.
don't.
That's true, but again, all of these things make it more difficult. There's just a lot of reasons why you wouldn't unionize, but it's just it's a stupid assumption to say the reason that Tesla is not unionized is because they treat their employees so well.
Okay.
That's not how it works.
Okay.
Okay, the reason the WWE is not unionized is because they treat their employees so well. That's not true at all. Neither of those statements are true, but they're both not unionized. There's many other reasons why things don't get unionized, and it's nothing to do with how well or not the employees would be treated if they unionized.
That's fine. But in this case, we're talking about Tesla where they get good remuneration and everybody wants to work there. So in this case, it's like there doesn't seem to be much demand for a union. And the reason why is because they're getting along fine just without the union. They've got a good job at the most sought after place in the world, to one of the most sought after places in the world to work, right? Which again gives the company an advantage on the stock market, in terms of being able to increase their productivity and so forth, because they're not held back by, the politics of having unions and so forth as well. So,
but when you say held back by the politics of unions, even that is like essentially being held back by having to make certain
and if you own
admissions to treat their employees better.
Exactly. So if you own a company that doesn't treat the companies very well, the people very well, they're going to really need to unionize in order to fight for those rights. If you have a company where you treat them fine anyway, what are they going to fight for more money when they're already getting plenty of money? Yeah, maybe some of them might do that,
yes.
But that might happen in the future. But
and
it
better
hasn't happened
hours,
yet. Yeah, better hours,
and
exactly.
better HR services,
if you give them
a million other things.
Yes, but if you give them those things, then why would they need to unionize? If you have a company where you're doing that thing anyway, they don't need to do it, and that's why they haven't done it yet. But I'm not saying they won't. Okay, that's my belief as to why they haven't done it yet.
It's a huge presumption.
It's not a huge presumption. It's pretty
things
logical.
don't just get unionized overnight.
No,
I mean,
know.
you've seen things go back and forth, even in our film industry, about unionization.
Yeah, but that's fine. I mean, the company's been around for like more than 10 years. It's not like a brand new company.
Yeah.
And so, no unions yet. But, regardless, that is one very minor data point in this conversation about whether or not the company is going to be continue to be profitable and continue to grow and be productive. And that is, I think it is going to. So I'm still on board with it. I'm like, yeah, look, I think that in the future, I'm going to be glad that I bought this company now during the recession while people were selling and I'm buying, and that's good. I mean, it's not like I'm putting in my life savings here. I'm putting in money, spare money that I want to put in. I buy some Tesla stock and I dollar cost average, and I'm just getting, I'm slowly bringing down the average price that I've paid by buying it now while it's cheaper than normal. Well, hopefully cheaper than normal, cheaper than it has been when I've been paying for it in the past. So I'm dollar cost averaging to bring that price down under the assumption that at the other side of this recession, it's going to, grow again. And that by, 2025 or 2030, I'll be feeling pretty chuffed that I actually bought during the recession. But the thing is, it's like, none of us have a crystal ball. We're all just got to do our best and guess, sort of guess what we think is going to happen. I've looked into, Tesla in lots of different ways. I've watched quite a lot of content on it. And I feel like, cool, well, with the information I've got, I think it's a winner. So I'm on board. So I guess we'll see. We'll have to see in the Guy and Harley podcast episode, 600 or something like that.
We'll keep following
in
that.
the year 2025, when I finally break even. But yeah, I think that Tesla's got a bright future as well with the not just the travel, but also the energy side of things and the AI and technology side of things. A lot of people are still just sleeping on the fact that they're not really just a car company. They're a technology company that has started in cars and then is going to work its way out. It's going to be energy. They've got insurance. They've got all sorts of software stuff, AI things, the full self-driving, as well as the vehicles, as well as being able to branch out into other types of vehicles. They've recently delivered their first semi-trucks to Pepsi and Lay's, the chips company, and these are cross-country semi-trucks, that can carry a full load and go further than a normal truck. They went like 500 miles with a complete load of one charge. Like when they did this test and when they first delivered it. And so, like trucking, if they can capture the trucking market, if they can capture the four-wheel drive market, they've already captured the sort of sedan and luxury market. They're the best-selling cars all over the world. And you are right that they're kind of like the iPhone, so that idea that, yeah, they're kind of a little bit samey like the iPhone, but if you don't have the iPhone, you've got a crap phone. Like you've got something that, like some other thing that's not the iPhone. And so it'll be the same with the cars. They'll all be driving. They'll all be talking to each other. They won't even need a driver. My car will perfectly follow your car at the perfect following distance. When you slow, my car will know it because they'll be communicating, and my car will prepare to slow as well. It's just, that's what the future's going to be like. And it's going to be silent. You go out in a city and you can hear cars at all times, but it's not going to be like that sort of when this EV revolution really kind of takes off. All you'll be hearing is the tire sound of the cars on the road, that you hear from, road noise, they call it.
Well, I look forward to continuing this discussion. I'll come, I guess, with regards to Elon and Tesla. I'm not convinced, but I'm not. I think I maybe put like $25 on Tesla or something like that.
And at a bad time as well. You put it on when it was
worth a lot of money.
Highs. Yeah. But it did go up after you bought it, and if you had sold it, then you would have made some money there. But you rode it up to the top and then rode it down the other side like me.
Yeah, so I'm not. I definitely have some concerns about Elon Musk, and I see them kind of lots of stuff going on, and I think that you definitely do stick up for way too much while ignoring a lot of.
I just haven't heard anything yet that I'm like, oh no, I'm pretty ruthless with celebrities.
Okay, but let's just say, didn't you call him this? A free speech absolutist? Absolutist, sorry.
That's what I'm pretty sure he has been described as, yes.
That's what he has described himself as. But there is a lot of him so for instance, if that is your thing, right?
Yeah, you're going to talk about him censoring people on Twitter, or,
Yeah.
or not him, but Twitter censoring people.
him censoring people.
Yeah, but you firstly, you don't know that it's him he gets his computer and he goes, that's it.
Like just
Guy picked it. I'm going to censor him.
Just for an example.
It's like, it's a big company with lots of people.
He's making tweets about this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's him tweeting about him doing it. So who else is doing it?
What do you mean?
He's
So
making those decisions. So he was like, I'm taking Alex Jones off Twitter.
Right. Okay. But Alex Jones was already off Twitter. He reinstated. He probably didn't he reinstate him or something? Alex Jones was off Twitter before Elon was there.
And took him off. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, are you a free speech absolutist?
But he's not saying you can do hate speech and dangerous and stuff. There is a difference between free speech and hate speech. Those have different definitions. And if you're doing something that hurts people, then that's the hate speech. And Alex Jones was hurting people, so he got removed again. But it's, again, I don't really think it's actually Elon sitting there. I think it's just they make rules and they go, okay, cool. Misinformation or whatever needs to be, censored in the same way that it was before Elon bought it. Like, if anything, less than it was before when Elon bought it. That's why he's been releasing the Twitter files, all this information about what was going on behind the scenes and how, data was being manipulated and people were, censored and silenced and shadow banned and all of that type of thing. I don't know, it just seems like you're sort of saying, okay, cool, well, that's the same thing that's already been happening on Twitter. I don't really feel like this is specifically an Elon thing. And also, even if he did, I want to say, even if he was like, yeah, no, I'm going to censor people at a whim, just off my own decision, I'd be like, cool, well, it's your website, bro. You can do it. You literally own it. So you can do whatever you want with it. Just like I would do whatever I want with my website. And if I don't want Alex fucking Jones on my website because he's a knobhead, well, I'm probably just going to delete him. Now, I'm not saying that's what Alex did. What Elon did. I'm saying that's, that if he did do that, I wouldn't really care.
Well, we'll continue to update you on Elon Musk's behavior.
Well, that's fine, as long as you don't start making it look like I endorse everything Elon Musk does. Like I'm saying that I like the company. Well, you do call him Daddy Musk. But that is a joke, obviously. That's when I say hashtag Daddy Musk, obviously I'm making a joke here on the Guy and Harley podcast.
But I guess you're putting him on a pedestal.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that this person has achieved great things that I admire, such as transitioning humanity to renewable transport, increasing the interest in renewable energy, exploring space, reusable rockets. These are the things that I admire in Elon Musk, his massive achievements, the things, and I'm not saying he's done them all himself. I know there's 110,000 people that work at Tesla, but he is a driving force behind a lot of that, or a lot of the success. And so I think that's all great stuff, because I think if I was a billionaire, that's the type of billionaire I'd like to be, a billionaire that's helping humanity as a whole to transition to renewable energy and become spacefaring. These are things that I think are important. So I like that. But that being said, like I don't, he said things that I don't agree with. I know that he was wanted to open his factories during the lockdowns, and he said he was firmly anti the lockdowns and all that stuff. I was like, cool, I don't agree with him. I disagreed with him then and now about that. And I'm sure there's a bunch of other things that I disagree with him about. But so far, I haven't seen anything where I'm like, oh no, I'm so angry at Elon that I'm not going to invest in Tesla. That's like an emotional way of investing, and it's not going to make you much money, right? So until he, I don't know, I don't really know what he'd have to do, but he'd have to do something which would be really bad, for the company and all that for me to care.
Yeah, I just think he's an evil billionaire who does good things.
Well,
that's
not
how
the
I would
things you
define
do,
that.
aren't the things that you do, aren't they the things that define you, your actions? So
but
things,
along with a lot of bad actions too.
Yeah, but what bad actions? I mean, like you're talking about like tweets, you know what I mean? You're talking about like nothing that's actually tangible, like he gave Starlink satellites to the Ukrainians when the Russians invaded so that they still had internet when the Russians were targeting infrastructure. And he did that at great cost to his own company. That was not free. None of that was free. And he did that costing millions and millions and millions. And he did it very quickly without much thought because it was the right thing to do. And now his Starlink satellites as well are another great thing, is that they're allowing internet anywhere in the world. because they're these great satellite internet, affordable-ish satellite internet things that he's planning to make cheaper and more readily available. And the idea is that you can be in the middle of the ocean, still have the internet. You can be in the middle. You can be a small villager in a small tiny village. You could be a villager in a small village in the desert somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and still have access to the internet, have information, and all those things you need. And it's going to help to bring people out of poverty. That type of stuff. So there's lots of really good things that he's doing, and I haven't really heard of any really bad things apart from like all of the silly headlines, like, oh, Elon Musk is censoring tweets. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about Twitter.